New information on that disturbing video showing teens berating and then attacking a family on an F train in Greenwich Village. You saw this video. 16-year-old girl has been arrested and charged with 2 counts of assault. The teen was one in a group of 3 girls who screamed at a family of 4, telling them to go back to where they came from. The situation quickly became violent, with one of the teens even assaulting the woman who captured the incident on her cell phone.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The race hustlers of America, the race hustling media, ain't going to like this story that I'm about to talk about today because it does not fit the narrative. As the race hustlers of America celebrate what happened out in Montgomery, Alabama, right? The riverfront brawl, okay, that featured white men getting beat up and, you know, justifiably so to a certain extent, after jumping a black dock worker, okay? A lot of people are celebrating these white men get beat up and jumped by a group of black people who also were beating women as well too, with, you know, chairs and, you know, other objects. They're celebrating this, right? This is like Kwanzaa, it's like Christmas, it's like Juneteenth, right? They're celebrating this, okay? And they're also crying racism. They're saying that the white guys were racist, that this is a hate crime, even though there's no evidence to suggest that what happened there was actually motivated by race, as much it just was a domestic dispute, right? A domestic fight, argument, whatever you want to call it, between 2 groups of people who happen to be of different races, okay? I don't think race had all that much to do with it, okay? And it is extremely, extremely rare for you to see something like that. For you to see a group of white men jump a black person like that, okay? To act so thuggishly, to act like that, that is extremely rare. You really don't see it, okay? And that's why, again, you have so many people celebrating this because, again, they've been looking for it, right? They swear up and down it exists, okay? That this is what black people are going through on a daily basis, even though we rarely ever see that, right? However, there is a type of hate, okay, and racism that, you know, we do see quite a bit, right? That the mainstream liberal media really don't want to talk about, right? But the story right here that I'm about to present to you guys is, you know, something that we see quite a bit, in my opinion, which is racially motivated attacks against Asians, okay? You know, the so-called Asian hate crime crisis that has happened in this country that the mainstream liberal media used to care about when white people were doing it, or when it was telling people that white people were doing it. Yeah, all of a sudden, when videos came out of black people doing it, they swept it under the rug. It's like, well, we don't care about you Asian people anymore, right? It doesn't fit the narrative. This incident took place in the New York City subway, a place that I would never go, by the way, right? And I don't recommend anybody with sane mind go if you can help it. I know some people got to take it because, hey, it's the cheapest form of transportation. I get it. We struggling out here, right? We all struggling out here. But what goes down in the New York City subway system is people get assaulted, they get attacked, some people get killed. And this incident right here is an incident, in my opinion, that, again, is par for the course in regards to what you see in some of these liberal cities, as you have a 16-year-old girl who was arrested and charged for assaulting and attacking Asians on this subway after basically going off on this racially motivated rant, telling Asian people or Asian family to go back to their own country, right? Again, textbook racism, okay? According to the left, that is. Textbook racism. Again, this black girl and her friends, or whatever, again, thought it was okay to, you know, exhibit this type of hate and bigotry on the subway system that, again, led to violence. And now this person is being arrested and charged. Take a look.
Updates tonight. The Hate Crimes Task Force is now investigating an attack on an Asian woman riding the train in Greenwich Village. Tonight, we're hearing from that woman and another passenger who says she was assaulted too. CBS 2's Christy Kalishian reports.
Laughing and pointing. That's how it all started. Sue Young, visiting from Nevada, was hoping the group of young girls sitting across from her on the F train near West 4th Street Thursday night weren't making fun of her and her family, so she shared a laugh with them, which only made it worse.
It was just insults after insults after insults. And finally, my husband felt like he needed to step in. And so he started saying, you know, can you use some other words besides those?
She says the girls eventually realized they were being recorded by another passenger, Joanna Lynn, and started attacking her. She says this young woman threw the punches, and now police are looking for her.
She ran over, grabbed me by the hair, threw me on the ground, and started punching me several times. It should not happen.
At that moment, Young couldn't stand to see Lynn get attacked, so she got up and pushed one of the girls out of the way. Then that same teen attacked her.
My glasses got broken. I've had headache for a couple of days now because the hair was pulled, and so my scalp was very tender. I've got like a whiplashy neck.
Young says she can heal from all this, and while she wants there to be accountability, she'd like to meet and talk with the girls, and especially wants her 11-year-old twin daughters to learn from this.
I want everybody to see that we can actually bridge this, that maybe that there's good in those girls.
We don't know what battles other people have in their lives, but I can imagine they're probably not as privileged, and that has probably a lot to do with their outlook on the world and the anger they may have.
Right.
Was this a hate crime? Ask the victims. They'll tell you absolutely not. Doesn't reach the high bar that needs to be set for that, they say.
And I want something positive to come out.
Bystanders were able to get the family and Lynn out of the train safely. Joanne Yu is president of the Asian American Federation, which started its Hope Against Hate initiative, promoting situational awareness against hate in communities across the city.
I think it's so great to see so many young people, non-Asians, stepping up because they understand the shared commitment we have to making sure that everybody is safe.
Police say they are investigating this as a hate crime. In Greenwich Village, Christy Kalishian, CBS 2 News.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Now, again, I find this story to be fascinating for multiple reasons, okay? The number one reason is that the mainstream liberal media doesn't seem to care much about hate crimes that are committed by non-whites, right? Even if they're committed by non-whites against people who are not white, right? They don't seem to give one damn about that, right? But the other reason I find this story to be fascinating is because this Asian family that was a victim of this alleged racist attack, they seem to be woke. They're saying, well, they did this because they're not privileged, right? Which is a woke explanation of why this happened instead of just calling it what it is. These kids, okay, these teenagers, these agents of chaos, they were not raised properly, right? They were probably raised by bigoted parents. Okay, this is what the explanation would be if these teenagers were white, right? They wouldn't be talking about privilege in the sense that they don't have privilege. They probably would be screaming about white privilege. Okay, that's what they were screaming about, you know, with the Montgomery, Alabama brawl, right? White privilege, this happened because of white privilege, right? You see how this works? Okay, if white people commit the crime, it's because they're privileged, right? If black people commit the crime, it's because they don't have privilege. Amazing. The explanation would be, well, they were raised by bigoted parents. They weren't raised properly, right? They was raised to be disrespectful to adults like this, okay? This is a failure of parents, which it is. It is a failure of parents, right? But because these kids are black, this woke Asian family is saying, well, you know, it's because they're poor, right? They're poor and they're black. And this is just the way, you know, they're expected to behave because they're poor and they're black. Again, this is part of the reason why you don't see any change in these big liberal cities, is because even when the people are victims of violence, right, they blame the cause of the violence on things that have nothing to do with why it actually happened. This didn't happen because the kids aren't privileged. This happened because, again, the kids haven't been raised properly, right? That's why it happened. Okay, like, again, a lot of these people in California, the reason why they vote for soft on crime policies, despite the fact that crime is out of control and they're complaining about it, is because they say, well, this crime is occurring because of poverty, right? They're just poor. The criminals just want a ham sandwich, right? They robbed the hardware store because they're trying to build a house. They need shelter, right? These are unhoused people, okay? That type of naivety is exactly how, again, you end up with liberals continue to vote for the disastrous situations that they find themselves in their own cities, right? Because, again, they can't properly identify the root cause of why they're experiencing the disaster that they're experiencing. They keep trying to give the benefit of the doubt to people who don't deserve the benefit of the doubt, okay? This woman, this girl, okay, this teenage girl clearly has hate and bigotry in her heart. Okay, she clearly does not like Asian people, and that hate and bigotry came out on the subway. Again, at least this is what the explanation would be if this person was white. If this teenage girl was white, do you think that they would be trying to give this teenage girl the benefit of the doubt? I don't think so, right? They would be calling it what it is. It's hate and bigotry, right? I mean, look at what happened in Alabama. Like I told you guys, there's really no evidence that that was racially motivated, but because it happened, because you had 3 white guys jump a black guy, they were suspected white supremacists, right? They were racist from the jump. And then all of a sudden, a story came out about how one of them allegedly said N-word, right? Because they just had to have some way to make the narrative fit that these guys was racist. But again, when it's these black teenagers, oh, well, you know, privilege, right? They're not just, you know, they don't have privilege. It's amazing how that works. But, you know, hey, I gotta say, in this situation, you know, this black girl that assaulted the agents was arrested and being investigated for a hate crime, possible hate crime. Which, I mean, again, if there is a situation where you're going to charge somebody with a hate crime, I think this would be one of them. And the reason why is because we do know we have actual real evidence, not just, you know, some made up story, right, from an alleged eyewitness, that this was racially motivated, that these black girls or this black girl was attacking these Asians because they were Asian, literally because of their ethnicity, because of their race. The things that they were saying led up to the attack, right? It wasn't just some domestic dispute that went awry and then you had some racial slurs that were said in the process, right, of, you know, the fight or whatever, okay, which it was said on both sides, right? In the Alabama Montgomery Riverfront Brawl, you had black folks screaming, you know, racial slurs, and allegedly the white people were screaming racial slurs. I'm just saying, right? But we know that the reason why that's not a hate crime is because race was not the primary motivating factor for the conflict. But in this situation right here, race is the primary motivating factor, or at the very least, that is what we're being told, or that is what the authorities think based off the information that we have, okay? So that's why you're seeing the hate crime charge be levied against this 16-year-old girl, because her actions were motivated by racial hate based off actual real evidence, right, that we have to suggest that, yeah, she levied this attack based off the fact that these people were Asian, okay? So yeah, mainstream liberal media, not interested, doesn't fit the narrative, okay? We know that if the roles were reversed here, right, or maybe the roles were different, okay, if, you know, this was white people that were racially attacking black folks on the subway, we know there's be national news attention, right? National news attention. But when it happens to Asians and it's being done by black folks, we're not gonna worry about it, right? Not something we should really be paying attention to, even though these Asian hate crimes seem to be very prevalent, right? But it just happens that the people that are committing these crimes against the Asians just happen to not be white, right? If they were white, we would be talking about it, right? Because they're not white, we're not talking about it. It's amazing how that works. But I will say one thing. I do agree with these woke Asians on one thing, right? Which is the idea that, yeah, I think they should attempt to talk to the suspect, the 16-year-old black girl who clearly has hate in her heart, because I think one of the best ways to help change people who have these views, right? These views of hate and bigotry is to actually talk to them, right? It's to sit down and talk to them and say, look, you know, this is who I am, and I'm not a bad person, okay? I am a loving person. I think that we can come together and we can have a mutual understanding of each other, regardless of our race. I do think that that's something that she should do, and I support the woke Asians doing that, right? I think that that is a good idea, right? But, you know, in regards to the excuse about, oh, well, you know, they're not privileged, I don't agree with that. I think that that's silly. And ultimately, at the end of the day, they should face punishment. I think that the hate crime charges, I mean, considering the fact that, again, it seems that we know for a fact that this was racially motivated, hey, seems to be justified, right? But hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.